Alright, so in this video we're going to actually make it so we can view all the blog posts and view specific blog posts on the site. Before we dive in, I just launched a full-fledged Django course. You can check it out. Link is in the description. It covers everything you know to go from zero to mastery on Django. Now let's dive in. So the first thing we're going to do is create it so that we can see all the blog posts on the site. So in our blog app, we're going to want to add the URLs. So we need to create this file. So we can right-click, New File, call it URLs.py, like so. And we need to import a couple things. So from Django.URLs, import path. And then we want to set our URL patterns, which is just a list of paths. So we can create our first path here, and it'll just be an empty path. And then we passed in the view. So we haven't made this yet, but we'll call it post list. And then the name will be post-list. And we can add a trailing comma. So it's giving an error because we haven't created this. We can also just import this because we're gonna create this view shortly. So from .views, import post_list. The one thing we need to do is update our settings URLs, because by default Django will look in this settings URLs.py file to look for your routes. And so from here we need to tell it to look into our blog app and that blog URLs.py. So we need to go to the top here, and where it says path, we already have include, so just double check that. And then we can add another path here and make it an empty path and say include and the app and then the file blog.urls, then add the trailing comma. Perfect, so now that should be good. This tells Django any path that matches this, go ahead and check blog.urls for the remaining path. Now let's go ahead and create the view. So this will be a function, so we go into our views.py in blog, and we're going to want to create a function, and we called it post_list. It takes in the request, the incoming request from the user. First thing we want to do is get all the posts and then return them with some kind of template. So we'll go ahead and import from .models, import post. Then we can just get all the posts. So we could say posts equals post.objects.all using that Django ORM. And then we can just return render, and it takes in the request. And then we have to create this template, so we'll make it called index.html, just as like the home page. And then we can pass in all of those posts. So we could say the key is posts, and the value is posts that we just created right here. So we'll save that. Now the final thing is just to create this template, index.html. So let's go ahead in blog, create a new file, and we can just specify the path name. So templates/blog/index.html. Now I'm just going to paste this markdown in, but if we look through it, it's just an HTML document. The head you don't have to include. The body of it, we call this block content. We have a header tag that says blog posts, an unordered list, and then we have a Django tag here that loops through the posts. So for posts in post, this is that variable we passed in. And then we render out a list item. First it has a link, URL post detail, post ID, which we haven't created yet, but we will create shortly, and displays the post.title, and then it displays the post.author. Otherwise, if it's empty, display no posts available. Now let's go ahead and set it up for each blog post itself, so we can see each blog post kind of detail page, and then this template will be able to render out links to those pages themselves. So it's a very similar process. Let's go back into our blog URLs.py, create another path. We can just shift alt down arrow, and we can name this URL post/, and then here is where we actually want to pass in some dynamic value. So we'll do the ID of the post so that we can tell which post we want to view. To do that, we do angle brackets, the type, and then the name of the variable. So it's an integer, and it'll be post ID. We don't want post list. Instead, we'll call this maybe post detail, and then again post -detail. So we'll go ahead and import this. We haven't created it yet, but basically it'll be the same process as before. So head back over into the views, and we'll just create another function here. So this will be def post_detail, takes in the request. This time, instead of getting all the posts, we just want to get single post if it exists. So this is where we could use a useful tool that comes from Django called getObject or 404. So it tries to get a specific object, but if that object does not exist, then it just returns a 404 instead of returning an error. So we can say post equals getObject or 404, and then we just have to pass in the model and then the ID. So primary key equals post underscore ID, which we also need to accept in the function. And again, this right here comes from the URL. So we'll go to post/1 and we'll have post ID be the value of 1, but a user could also go to post/100, and we don't have 100 posts, or we probably don't have 100 posts set up. So that would cause an error, but that getObject or 404 function will handle that nicely. And now again, we just want to return render, takes in the request. We'll call this blog/post underscore detail.html, and then we can pass in this dictionary. So post and then post. So let's go ahead and create this HTML file here. So we already have the templates folder set up. Under templates/blog, we can create a new file and name it post underscore detail.html. And again, I'll just paste in some markdown. You can pause this and take a look at it, but essentially you just have to have this block content here, and then I have an H2 tag that displays the title, and then I have a paragraph that displays the content. And we could also use Django filters. So to use those, you use the pipe symbol, and then you just use the filter. So title, we'll just capitalize each word in the title, just so that it looks more like an actual blog post title. Nice, so if we save this and we run the server, and if we go to localhost/8000, so our home route, nice, we can see that we're actually rendering out these blog posts. So we have my first post by me, second post by me, and then this post by test user. Sweet, so even showing the specific user who posted it, we can click on one and we can see the content of the post. Sweet. But right now we're only able to add new posts from the admin, and so if you're able to log into the site as someone that's not an admin, you wouldn't be able to create any posts. So that's what we're going to handle in the next video. Be sure to subscribe and like, and I'll drop the next video.